Think about the last time you saw someone and something shifted. Not a decision, not a choice. Something that happened before you could stop it. A pull, a recognition, something your body felt before your brain had even caught up. You call it attraction, you call it chemistry. Some people call it love. And the question nobody asks is this: did your ancestor, crouched around a fire 100,000 years ago, feel exactly the same thing? The answer is yes. But the story of how and why is stranger, older, and more powerful than any love story you have ever been told. Most people assume romantic love is a modern invention, something poets created, something novelists exaggerated, something that came after roses and candlelit dinners and diamond rings. But that assumption is wrong. Deeply, scientifically, provably wrong. Romantic love is not a cultural luxury. It is a biological system, one of the oldest and most powerful systems in the human body, and it was running at full capacity long before the first human ever picked up a pen. Let us go back, way back, before cities, before language as you know it, before any concept of marriage or courtship or dating. Your ancestor woke up every morning in a band of roughly 25 to 50 people. Everyone knew everyone. Everyone depended on everyone. And inside that small world, something happened that scientists now recognize as one of the most complex neurochemical events the human brain can produce. Two people noticed each other, and everything changed. Anthropologist Helen Fisher spent decades mapping the biology of romantic love. Her research, conducted at Rutgers University, used brain imaging to study people who described themselves as deeply in love. What she found stopped the scientific community cold. Romantic love does not live in the emotional centers of the brain. It lives in the reward system, the same system activated by food when you are starving, the same system activated by water when you are dying of thirst. Your brain treats the person you love not as an emotional experience, but as a survival need, as something you cannot live without. And that system, Fisher confirmed, is ancient. Far older than human civilization, far older than language. It exists in virtually identical form in mammals that have been on this earth for millions of years. Your ancestor did not choose to fall in love any more than you do. The system chose for them. But what did it actually feel like? What happened inside the body of an ancient human when they saw the person who would become their partner? Here is where the science becomes genuinely remarkable. Neuroscientist Larry Young, studying the neurobiology of pair bonding at Emory University, identified the precise chemical cascade that happens when humans form deep romantic attachments. It begins with dopamine, a flood of it, the same chemical your brain releases when you win something, when you achieve something, when something deeply good happens to you. Then comes norepinephrine. Your heart rate increases, your palms sweat. Your attention narrows to a single point. The rest of the world becomes noise. And then, as the bond deepens, comes oxytocin, the bonding chemical, the one that makes you feel that this specific person is home, that being near them is safety, that losing them would be loss beyond what words can hold. Your ancestor felt every single one of these chemicals, in the same sequence, at the same intensity. The neurochemistry of love has not changed in 100,000 years. Only the context has. Now here is something that will permanently change how you think about love. Researchers studying ancient burial sites across Africa, Europe, and the Middle East have found something that archaeologists initially struggled to explain. Bodies buried together, two individuals, side by side, facing each other, sometimes with hands positioned as if touching, objects placed between them that appeared to have belonged to both. These burials date back tens of thousands of years, long before any written record, long before any formal concept of marriage. And yet the care, the intentionality, the positioning, all of it speaks to something that goes far beyond tribal obligation, something that looks, in every measurable archaeological sense, like grief, like someone who could not bear to be separated, even in death, from the person they had loved in life. Think about what that means. The person who arranged that burial was making a statement that had no audience, no one was watching, no social rule demanded it. They did it because something inside them required it. Because the bond between those two people had been real enough, deep enough, permanent enough, that its ending demanded acknowledgement. Paleoanthropologist Ian Tattersall, studying the cognitive evolution of early humans, argues that the capacity for deep pair bonding was not an accident. It was selected for, meaning the humans who formed strong, stable romantic bonds were more likely to survive, more likely to raise children successfully, more likely to have partners who stayed when things became dangerous. Over hundreds of thousands of years, the humans who loved deeply outlived the ones who did not. Your capacity for romantic love is not a weakness. It is the reason you exist. But ancient love was not simple. And here is where the story gets complicated. Evolutionary psychologist David Buss, in his landmark cross-cultural research spanning 37 different cultures on 6 continents, found that the core features of romantic attraction are identical across all human societies studied. Men and women everywhere show the same fundamental patterns of what they notice, what draws them in, what makes them stay. These patterns are not learned from culture. They cannot be explained by environment alone. They are too consistent, too universal, too deeply embedded in human behavior across groups that have had no contact with each other for thousands of years. The conclusion Buss reached was unavoidable. These patterns are biological. They were shaped by the same evolutionary pressures that shaped your bones and your immune system and your brain. Your ancient ancestor noticed kindness. They noticed health. They noticed generosity. They noticed someone who showed up. They noticed someone who made the group stronger. Not because those things were romantic ideals, because those things were survival signals. The person who was kind enough to share food was the person who would not abandon you in a crisis. The person who was healthy was the person whose children were more likely to survive. The person who showed up was the person you could actually count on when the predator appeared at the edge of camp. Love was never separate from survival. Love was a survival strategy, the most elegant one the human body ever developed. And yet it was not only strategy. Because here is the part that science has struggled to explain, and that you already know in your body without needing an explanation. Love. Even ancient love had a quality that went beyond usefulness, beyond calculation, beyond any rational accounting of benefit. Archaeological evidence from Neanderthal sites, our closest evolutionary relatives who lived alongside early humans for thousands of years, shows something extraordinary. Individuals with severe physical disabilities, injuries, or conditions that would have made them completely unable to contribute to the group's survival were kept alive, fed, and cared for, sometimes for years. There is no evolutionary calculation that explains this. A group of 30 people on a dangerous landscape, with limited food, keeping alive a member who cannot hunt, cannot gather, cannot fight, makes no logical sense. Unless something beyond logic was operating. Unless something that looked very much like love was already present in the human story, long before Homo sapiens ever walked the earth. Helen Fisher, in her later research, identified what she called the 3 distinct brain systems involved in love. Lust, which is driven by testosterone and estrogen and motivates the search for a partner. Attraction, which is the dopamine-driven obsession with a specific individual. And attachment, the oxytocin and vasopressin system that creates the deep, calm bond that makes 2 people feel like home to each other. These 3 systems can operate independently. They can overlap. They can conflict. And they were all present in your ancestor's brain, running at full capacity, creating the same confusion, the same longing, the same joy, and the same devastation when things fell apart that you feel today. Your ancient ancestor lay awake at night thinking about someone. Your ancient ancestor felt their heart move when that person walked into view. Your ancient ancestor felt the particular pain of losing someone they had loved. These are not modern experiences dressed in ancient costume. They are ancient experiences that you inherited intact, along with your eyes and your hands and your immune system, from people who lived and loved and lost on a landscape that looked nothing like yours but felt, inside, exactly the same. Tonight, when you feel that pull towards someone, or when you feel the ache of missing someone you love, or when you sit with someone and feel that inexplicable sense that this is exactly where you are supposed to be, you are not having a modern experience. You are not having a personal experience unique to your life and your choices and your era. You are running a 300,000-year-old program, the same one your ancestor ran, crouched around a fire, watching someone across the flames, feeling something shift in their chest that they had no words for. They did not need words for it. Neither do you. The feeling was always the same. It always meant the same thing. You found someone worth staying for.